Now, before I welcome two fantastic guests into the Clubhouse for a chat today, a little context for the challenge that sits at the very heart of this week's episode, the London Marathon, which of course takes place in less than 2 weeks now on Sunday, April the 26th. Now, many listeners might well be training for it right now or heading along to support mates who are running. So in today's episode, we're going to get into some incredible insight into the final preparation and some top tips from four-time marathon runner and Stage Door Athletics OG listener Bob Diggles, as well as speaking to the amazing, super funny drag race superstar that is Kitty Scott-Claus, who is running this year's marathon for the first time. Is it your first time?
Second time.
Second time.
Year.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the second time. So, the London Marathon, first held 1981, inspired by Olympic champion journalist Chris Brasher, who had run the New York Marathon and then came back to London convinced that London needed its own mass participation race through the capital. And so the idea was simple but powerful: bring together elite athletes and everyday runners in one extraordinary event. So now, 4 decades later, it's become one of the most famous races in the world and part of the World Marathon Majors alongside other cities like Boston, Berlin, Chicago, Tokyo, New York. But probably what I guess defines the London Marathon is the atmosphere. The course winds through some of the city's most iconic landmarks, the Cutty Sark in Greenwich, Tower Bridge, Canary Wharf, alongside the Thames, and finishing down the Mall in front of Buckingham Palace with all the crowds cheering the runners all the way around. Now, each year, tens of thousands of people take part, from world-class athletes chasing records to first-time runners in fancy dress, all running for their own reasons. And, of course, the majority of them are doing it for charity. In fact, the London Marathon has become the world's largest single fundraising event, with participants raising over £1 billion for charity since it all began. So when someone lines up in Greenwich, they're not just taking on 26.2 miles. They're joining one of the most uplifting sporting traditions anywhere in the world. And so today in the Clubhouse, we're going to look at that challenge from two very different angles. First up, we're joined by global drag race all-star and fan favourite Kitty Scott-Claus. Kitty, whose real name is Louis Westwood, first shot to prominence as a finalist on RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3, where her quick wit, big personality, theatrical performances made her one of the show's most beloved queens, and she went on to reach the final as runner-up. Injustice. And has since become a regular face across British television and live entertainment. Since Drag Race, Kitty's career has taken her to the West End stages in Death Drop, onto TV screens, on shows including Pointless, The Weakest Link, and of course Celebrity MasterChef, where she swapped sequins for the apron and brought a bit of camp chaos into the MasterChef kitchen. Right now, she's touring the UK alongside her fellow Drag Race star and Bezzy, Cheryl Hole, in their brand new theatre show, The Cheryl and Kitty Show, bringing campery, chaos and carnage to stages across the UK this April. Plenty more on that, I'm sure. But next week, she's swapping the runway for the running way, because Kitty is taking on the London Marathon, raising money for Alzheimer's Research UK. So in this first episode of this special 2-part edition of Stage Door Athletic, we'll hear all about Kitty's marathon preparation, the training, the nerves, the motivation, before bringing in Stage Door Athletics resident marathon expert and my best mate, Bob Diggles, who'll be offering some expert insight, sharing a few hard-earned marathon lessons, and perhaps giving Kitty a few tips before the race day. And then in part 2 next week, we'll get Kitty properly settled into the Clubhouse, talk about her career, drag race, and her relationship with sport, if indeed she has one. So ahead of hosting tonight's sold-out Stage Door's Got Talent in the club room here in the Clubhouse, I'm delighted to welcome to the Stage Door Athletic Bar Banquets, Kitty Scott-Claus. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
That's
oh my
good.
God, it's so nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good. What do you think of the Clubhouse?
It's gorgeous. I love what you've done with the place.
You must
the attention to detail is fantastic,
the
I must say.
You must have done some venues like this in your time.
You know it, hun. You know it. But do you know what? I feel like these are always the most fun venues because you get all types of people from all walks of life, and it's always people that never think they're going to come to a drag show, and you're like, well, here we are.
Yeah.
We're going to put on a show for you.
Yeah. When you have an alter ego as you do, how do you feel about being a Louis when you're in drag and being a Kitty when you're not?
I don't know. It's funny. If I'm in drag and someone calls me Louis, I'm like, are you well? Like, what's going on? I don't look like Louis right now, hun. But then also, like, Kitty sort of bleeds over to everything because, like, my drag friends will call me Kitty regardless if
Yes.
I'm in drag or not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always just like, say what you see. If I'm in drag, call me Kitty.
Yeah. Well, you're looking gorge. And I've got to ask, I guess the first question, are you going to run the marathon in drag?
Yes, I'm like Tinkerbell. I like attention. So if I can make it harder for myself, I'm going to do that.
And I hadn't realised, I assumed terribly that this was your first marathon, but it's not, it's your second. When did you do the last
My
one?
second last year was my first marathon ever.
Yeah.
And I got the bug and I loved it.
Really?
And here we are now, second year on the trot.
What time did you do it in last time?
Well, right, I have to preface it by saying I stopped at mile 21 and I did a performance. So and we did like press at mile 21.
Did you?
So I did it in 4:18, but in my head I'm like, we can take 20 minutes off.
Yeah, totally can.
I've in my head I did a sub 4 hours. So this year, and I'm doing the same again this year.
Are
I'm going to
you?
do a performance at mile
Are
21,
you?
Rainbow Row. It's the most amazing mile
That's
on the
so
whole marathon. It's the
cool.
one I always look forward to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop and do another performance, and we'll do some more press and stuff, and then starting again. But this year I'm going to stop my run because I didn't last year.
Yes.
So it came up as like 4:18. So this year I'll know for definite like what I do it. Unless it's worse than 4:18, then I'm not going to say it.
Yeah,
I'll just
no,
be
of
like,
course.
well.
So, like, have you genuinely found a passion for running and distance running?
Completely. I have been so bitten by the bug, and I never saw this for myself.
Yeah.
I was really, like, in the nicest way. I was very overweight before I started running. I was very, like, very, very overweight. And so I started running, and, like, I never thought, like, well, I'm going to run marathons. Like, that is not why I started doing it. But I remember when I started, it was like the freedom it gave, and, like, it was just that it didn't matter where I was in the world. It didn't matter. I could be at home in London. I could be on tour throughout the UK. I could be on tour throughout the world. I can, as long as I've got my trainers, I can go running. And it's like allows you that sense of freedom and like, well, I can go and do it. I don't need to go to the gym. I don't
Yeah.
need like weights and I don't need a pool. I can just go and be free. And I
Yeah.
love that.
And so I'm really fascinated by this because you'll hear in my chat with Bob in a little bit, you know, I've had a very weird relationship to running. I find it really odd. I go to quite a dark place. I'm like, why am I doing this? I hate this. How do I end it? And I go into this sort of weird downward spiral psychologically. But I know so many people who are passionate about running find it therapy, or they work through things,
Yeah.
or they just get quite mindful, or they listen to podcasts, or they do whatever. What is it for you? Where do you go in your head when you're on a run?
So if I'm by myself running, I do all my big runs normally I do with other people.
Yeah.
So like when I am doing those, I find that's like, oh my God, you just have the best chats because it's like you've got nothing else to do. So you're like, well, this is going on in my life. And it's like you could be having the worst week
Yeah.
of your life and like the most stressful week. And it's like allowing yourself that 1 hour, 2 hours, however long you want to run for. But it's allowing yourself that time to just go and be with your thoughts and be away from your phone and be away from social media. That it's like you realize like, okay, none of that's important.
Yeah.
Like what's important right now is putting one foot in front of the other. And like I feel like I get into a rhythm with it that it's like after a while I forget I'm running in the
Yeah.
nicest way. And everyone always tells me, they're always like, you're gonna hit the wall, you're gonna hit the wall. And I'm like, where's this wall? Because I finished the marathon last year and
You
I
did
was
go
like,
through that.
still no wall. I'm still waiting for this wall.
Well, maybe that's the key.
The wall was the next day. The wall was the
Was
next day
it?
when I had to climb down the stairs. I was like, I need a stair lift to go down the stairs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't make life easy for yourself because you're in the middle of a tour with Cheryl right now, aren't you? And then and I
Yeah.
was looking at your dates, and then you've got this little gap where you obviously running the London Marathon.
But when they were coming in with the dates, they were like, we've got Dublin like the day after. And I was like, there is no way in hell. There is no way in hell that I can finish the London Marathon and then be like, oh, I'm going to jump on a plane to Dublin the next one. Do Dublin, then Belfast. It was like, we'll do Ireland next time.
Yeah. Oh my God. And how's it going? Are you having fun?
The most fun. But do you know what I love as well about the tour is that like I'm still doing all my marathon
Are
training
you?
throughout the tour. And so like the other day we were in, where were we? We were in Cardiff, and it was like, I've got to do a 5 mile run. And it was like I've been to Cardiff on tour a couple of times, but I'd never been like, well, I need to find a running route. I need to think like, where can I go? Like this, that, the other. And it's like actually getting out there. And I feel like for drag queens, we get so stuck in our ways of like, right, we do the show, we go to the hotel, you sleep, you wake up the next day, you travel to the next venue, you
Yeah.
do and it becomes such a pattern that like allowing myself, like, right, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes, I'm going to give myself an hour, I'm going to go and do a run really quickly, I'm going to find a route, I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm going to go and explore, I'm going to see the city. And it's like, you see so much more of the world with the freedom that running gives you.
Yeah, it feels like you found like a really healthy balance, or it's giving you a healthy balance in context to this other
Yeah.
crazy life that you're living.
100%. The wildest one was this was end of 2024. I was training for London Marathon, and it was like November, December time. I was on tour in Australia, and we literally landed on Wednesday, and Wednesdays are like my long run days. And I was like, literally landed. I've been like on the plane for 24 hours or whatever it was. And I was like, right, it's a Wednesday. I need to do a half marathon. And so like literally got to the hotel, put my running stuff on, and I was like, I'm so jet lagged and I don't know what time zone I'm on, but I feel like the best thing I can do right now is just go for a run. And I did. And we were in Sydney, and I ran like all along the harbour, like under the bridge and like past the opera house, and it was
Man.
the most amazing run of my life. And it was so warm, and it was to go from like running in the cold in London to like, oh my god, like running topless in Sydney. Oh, it's just the best. And like I remember I finished the run and I was like, I am dead, I'm so tired, I don't know if I should be awake, I don't know if I should be asleep. And it was like the middle of the day there, but you know when you're just like, my body clock is all over the place, but I feel so fantastic for just getting out and doing it.
Yeah. And so, how are you in your training at the minute? So, we're 2 weeks out, just less. How are you feeling about it? Where are you at?
Yeah, good. It's all been good. Do you know, so we've done our longest runs now. We're tapering back down. So we did 2 20 mile runs this year. Well, we were only meant to do one, but then the other one was like another 18 mile. And it was like, once we got to 18, we were like, well, come on, we've got another 2 miles in us. Let's just do another 20. Hee hee. And then, so this week I did a half, which actually was really tough because it was that really sunny day
Yeah.
this
Oh,
week.
yes.
And my hay fever, I wasn't even in drag. I'm like, my training runs, I'm doing out of drag. I'm just running
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
around London, living my best. My hay fever, my eyes were
Oh,
streaming the
man.
whole time.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're just like, this is awful, this is the pits, like, how am I going to do the marathon if my eyes are going to be streaming like Lord knows what?
Yeah. Local honey, apparently. I've got a mate who, have you ever tried this tip? Who suffers from hay fever. I was on a tour in a show last year, and one of the girls in the cast got really bad hay fever. And what she did was she got a little pot of honey from a local supplier in each city that we went to or town, and it apparently really, really helps. So you should try and source some Greenwich or London honey or something next
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
Well, do you know, someone on my Instagram, because I put on my Instagram story, oh my God, this hay fever is killing me. And someone messaged me going, why don't you go and sting yourself with stinging nettles? I was like, that sounds painful. I could just
Couldn't
take
work out if it
Piriton,
was a
it'd be
diss
fine.
or advice.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, I don't know if you hate me. Do you hate me? That sounds horrible. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. You've mentioned we a few times. Who are your running buddies?
So I run with Jeremy Joseph, who runs GOY Nightclub
Do
Heaven,
you?
and this is his 16th marathon.
No way.
So I feel like I've learned from the best. He's always there, like this is how we do it. This is the way to do it. And like I feel like because this is my second marathon now, I feel more not in control, but I feel like I know what I'm letting myself in for.
Yeah.
So we were talking about gels the other day, and I hate the gels. I can't get on with them at all. And we always train with them. I know you don't do anything different on a run, so we do train with them, but like they're just not a bit of me. And I remember like the other day I was like, I want to do gels because the plan last year we did gels every 4 miles.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a lot. That is a lot of gels.
Yes.
And so I was like, I want to do every 5 miles. I think that will work better for my body.
Yeah.
And it's like allowing yourself, like, okay, I've done this before. I know what works for me. And like in training, we were doing it every 5 miles. And I was like, this is okay. I feel like every 4 miles, that's a bit, for me,
Yeah.
it's a bit much. So I feel like it's just like allowing yourself the grace to know, like, right, I've done this before. I know I can handle it. I know I can do
Yeah.
well. And I'm going to see how we can make it better.
Yeah. It must be hard running with Jeremy when he's handing out wristbands for heaven every sort of 10 metres.
No, you're showing your age. It's an app now. It's an
Oh, is
app
it?
now.
Oh,
I
really?
said the same thing. I
Okay.
was like, who wants a wristband for heaven? And he's like, no, we have an app now.
That's brilliant. What have been the hardest parts then? You know, you did it last time. What for you was the struggle part?
So I loved it last year, and everyone was complaining that it was so hot. And I was like, what's the negative? We're going to get a nice tan. Like,
Yeah.
everyone needs to calm down. The negative for me was I was wearing a really funny, like, strappy top. So I got a really weird tan. That was a bit awkward. Didn't love that. No, do you know what? It was so, as I said, I stopped at mile 21, performed at Rainbow Row on
Yeah.
one of the stages, and then carried on. And starting again, that was tough because
Yeah.
it was like you lose your rhythm, you lose the momentum, you
Yeah.
lose
Really hard.
everything. And so, like, starting
And the
up again, and
lactic
Jeremy's
acid
like,
must like flood in.
yeah. Oh my God. And so even when I was performing, I was like still trying to move my legs. I was like, oh. So that was tough. But I remember like the adrenaline from the audience and the crowd. The audience, it's not the crowd.
Such a performer. You're so
I know, I'm like, the
showbiz.
audience, they love me. But no, like the energy from the crowd really does get you through.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's nothing. If I could bottle that and
Yeah.
sell it, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah. Oh my God. And so you're raising money for Alzheimer's Research UK this time. Is that what you did last time as well?
No, so last year we did for 4 charities, which were Switchboard, Mind, Sahaya House, and Pancreatic Cancer UK.
Yeah.
I think those were the 4. But this year I'm doing Alzheimer's Research UK
Yeah.
because I lost my grandma at the start of last year
Yeah.
to Alzheimer's related illnesses.
Such a cruel
So
illness.
to be able to run the marathon and do such a positive thing for an incredible charity who
Yeah.
are doing the most amazing work, and they've got so many runners that are running the marathon for them this year as
Yeah,
well.
I
So it's
saw
like
that.
I feel like I'm in really good company.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we'll put a link in the show notes for people to donate. And if you go to our link tree as well, which is linktree/Stage Athletic, we'll put a link in that as well so people can follow that and make a donation. And I will do the same as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Don't be silly. And so I think this might be a good time actually to go to Bob. Now this, because obviously you're now, I didn't realise you were an experienced marathon runner, Kitty, but many listeners might not be. So this is Bob in his relationship to running, and then he's got some top tips for newbies or indeed you, Kitty. I'm sure you've had
No,
these before.
I love this. This is brilliant.
I think we should go to the Stage Door Athletic resident marathon expert, who is Bob Diggles. Now, full disclosure, Bob is one of my very best friends, a great loyal supporter of the Stage Door Athletic podcast, not just as a loyal listener, but as a confidant, an advisor, and future producer of our World Cup content. But I'm not giving that away just yet. But he's also the host of the Bob Graham Sounds podcast, which, if you are at all into running, I know, as I am not, as listeners know very well, I know friends who are into running have loved that podcast, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about that in time. But before we talk specifically about the marathon, Bob, firstly, hello, welcome.
Hi, thanks. Nice to be in the Clubhouse. I've listened for years.
I know.
And now here I am.
Here you are,
Get to
sat
sit
on the
inside.
banquettes either side of Kitty Scott-Claus and me. Sadly, no Jack today. But welcome to the Clubhouse. And, I mean, talk to me more generally about running, because you know, regular listeners will know, I have such a psychological issue with running, but it's something you've always done and have always loved, still love. What's your relationship to running?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think when I was at sort of junior school level, sports day was all about the sprinters at
Yeah.
school, and I was rubbish at that. So then the only thing other than the sprints was the 1500 metres, which everybody hated.
Yeah.
On a grass track round the field. Nobody wanted to do that race. So at that age, I hated running as well. And then something happened around 13, 14 years old where one winter, when we couldn't use the playing fields because they were waterlogged, we went on a cross country.
Yeah.
And suddenly I came like second in the year. I beat the PE teacher. There was only one lad that was in front of me. I was like, wow, from being the guy that's no good at football and not very good at rugby,
Yeah.
suddenly I'm actually quite good at something.
Yeah.
And then I just applied myself to it all through my teenage years. I wanted to try and win the Ilkley Fun Run. And when I was 17, I did. There's a photo of me somewhere in the Ilkley Gazette, and it was just a 3-mile run
Yeah.
up a hill and back down a hill again. And I just
But I was
practiced
going to
that.
say, with hills, I mean, Ilkley is renowned as a hilly town, Bartat. So that can't have been an easy fun run relative to, I don't know, Wakefield fun run, which I might have done back in the day.
Yeah, something, obviously, I was bitten by the bug. I then had a year in America where I should have. Well, I went there because I loved basketball and
Yeah.
I wanted to make the team, and I didn't make the team for the high school. And what I should have done was run cross country
Yeah.
with them, because I ran track in the summer
Of
and was
course,
all
yeah.
right at it. And then we got to university when I met you.
Yeah.
And in 96, 97, 98, I ran the London Marathon
Yeah.
each year of university. And I did sports science, living with 3 drama students. I was the one non-thespian in the house.
Yes. Who
But it
then
was like a,
pursued a career in radio, ironically, before any of us got our break
Yeah.
in showbiz.
but I think it was like an extended sports science project for me. I just sort of realised that I was endurance trained, as
Yeah.
as the sort of scientific parlance went, and I thought, oh, maybe I can give it a go. And so I entered, each of those years. I think British Heart Foundation got a place
That's
with
right.
them the first year, and then I managed through this thing called the Football Challenge to get a place to run for Bradford City.
Yes.
In the next 2 years. But I just sort of wanted to. I obviously loved running then. I think in that first year of uni, I went running with a guy, and it was the first time I'd ever run for more than about 5 or 6 miles.
Yeah.
It was a young doctor. I think he was like a first year medical student, Adnan, and he said,
That's
"Oh, I'm going
right,
for a
yeah.
run along the canal," and it was like 13 miles he was going to run on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And it just seemed totally alien that you could do that. And then I did it. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I just sort of. And talking to you about running, or you texting me yesterday saying, can we have a chat on the podcast about marathons? Suddenly I was flooded with, I guess, endorphins and excitement
Were
about
you?
running again. Yeah. I looked back at the pictures. I can remember the buzz of doing those races. And then I start Googling like autumn marathons, I'm thinking about trying to do one again.
Really? That's so fascinating because, when someone mentions running to me, I'm filled with dread. Like I get a sort of deep, I guess a feeling in my stomach akin to dreading nerves, when you're nervous about something that you've got to do that you don't want to do. I get that emotional response, but you got giddy with endorphins. So have you always felt like that? Did you get that when you first went on that fun run and ever since?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I was quite fit as a teenager. I did swimming club, not to any high level, but I was swimming 3 evenings a week, and so I was fit, I suppose, but was not at all an elite athlete in any
Yeah.
realm. And then suddenly I found with running that I was a bit better than average, and I could go and enter a fun run, and with a bit of practice I could win it.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. And I generally, if I'm fit and uninjured, I can enjoy going out for a run where, I went for a run on the beach this morning. It was low tide. I look for it's nice weather. When is it low tide? Great. The sand will be hard. I can run on that.
Yeah.
And then I compile a little playlist of music. And as I'm running then, I'm on cloud 9. I love that, which obviously you never feel.
So that's interesting. So the prospect of going for a run excites you. In the run, you're enjoying it and feeling the endorphins running. And then obviously the bit that I think I probably would get is the post run where you've got the satisfaction and the benefits of exercise, whatever that is. I mean, we all know when you drag yourself to the gym, you feel great when you're walking out. You've done something. There's the kind of the virtuous part of the psychology, but there's also just the physiological activation that sets you up for the day and gets you energized and gets you thinking in a different way. So is there no part of it that you ever really have to battle through?
I've had a lot of injuries, and definitely, I'm going to be 50 this year, and
Yeah.
I think from 40 onwards, I've had more injuries. I think I used to just be able to get up and go for a run and never had to stretch or warm down or do anything like that. And now, if I'm not careful, then I keep sort of pulling calf muscles or getting Achilles problems. So that is a downer.
Yeah.
And if I think Jo, my wife, if she could tell, if I came back from a run, just from my body language, oh, did your Achilles go? Are you okay? Because that I would then really plummet in terms of my mental health, not in a massive way, but just like, my Achilles has gone again. I can't run for a few weeks now. I have to let it recover. So that is a downer. And I'm not fit at the moment. So this morning I went for a short run, and the last part of it was a grind just to get home. It was a real slog.
When you say short, what is a short run to you?
About 4.5 miles, probably.
That's so not short. God, I honestly, I can't imagine running 4.5 miles. I can't run for the bus at the minute, but anyway, that's the other thing.
My family absolutely take the piss out of me because we went on holiday to Italy last summer and went over to a little island called Ischia off the coast of Naples. Lovely villa, and you could walk down the hill to the beach and what have you. And as soon as we got there, they could all see my eyes being drawn to the fact that there was a little bit of a rocky volcanics not far from Vesuvius, so it's lots of volcanic rocks, and they're like, oh, Dad wants to run up the hill. So over the course of that lovely week's holiday, each morning I'm like trying to pick my way through these little Italian lanes. How do you get onto that hill? Coming back with my legs scratched to ribbons from all the brambles and briars and things. Yeah. But by the end of the week, I managed to find my way to the top of the mountain, and I love that. I've got video of me on top of this hill going, oh, look at the view.
Yeah. And we're just built differently. I mean, I was on holiday recently with some friends who were looking for a gym in the holiday resort. And to me, I'm like, it's hard to get to the gym in a working week. And certainly when I'm on holiday, that to me legitimizes not having to do anything. But we've been camping together on the Dorset Downs, again, really treacherous, hilly, varying terrain. And you head off for a run up and down, for an hour or two.
Those are my favourite runs of the year.
Oh,
every year, the run I can do along the Jurassic Coast, because you can't get lost.
Yeah.
All you have to do is keep the sea on one side, turn around and come back again. But it's really hilly, it's off-road.
Yeah.
The only problem for me now with marathons is that it just requires loads of road running, which I don't think is very conducive to avoiding injury. So that I would struggle with, I think, if I was going to train for another one.
Yeah. So how many have you done in total?
I've done London 5 times.
Crikey.
And I did the Chester Marathon once.
Yeah.
I would, not to denigrate Chester, I think it's quite a fast route, that's why people choose it. But London, you are always buzzing with people. There's so much support, and it's such an exciting event. Whereas in Chester, there's a few people at the start, then you disappear off down B roads into the countryside, come back, and there's a few people at the finish. So it's quite a sort of lonely grind.
Yeah.
Whereas a big city marathon is just always exciting. Just the best an amateur person can come to being like a big football star or something, where the whole especially because I ran it for Bradford City, I was in full football kit, so you would get a crowd, people shouting out about go on City, and then if you did a footballer's clap like they do at the end of a match above your head, if you just clap the crowd a bit as you go, everyone would be on their feet cheering you. It was like you were at the Olympics. It was brilliant.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about that football challenge. Do they still do it?
I don't think so. It was a thing, and basically every football club could put in somebody to represent them. So sometimes it might be the physio, or I think that I've got the write-up from the year I did it, and I think a steward at Grimsby Town, John Stevenson, won it. He did it in 2 hours 39.
Wow.
Bolton Wanderers accountant, a guy called Simon Marland, was second in 2 hours 45. And then the first division race was won by Bradford City, me. So I came third overall.
Amazing.
And then Lincoln City won the third division.
What was your time that year?
2:47.
That's amazing. Is that your record?
Yeah.
That is super fast, isn't it?
I entered trying to break 3 hours, and the first year I did 3:06, and then the second year 2:58, and then that third year having done sort of as in my third year of a sports science degree, I was trying to break 2:45, which at that stage, at that time, would class you as an elite runner and would mean you got free entry to the next year automatically. Wow. So I was close, but I didn't quite get it. And then I did it again. I'd moved into working in radio, so I think in about the year 2002, I did the London Marathon when I was working for Power FM on the South Coast.
Yeah.
And now with podcasting technology and everything, people do this all the time, influencers, but I had a brick phone with me and I set off running the marathon, and then Rick and Rachel, who were the sort of hosts of the normal breakfast show, they were on air on the Sunday morning for as long as it took me to do the marathon. They had to stay on air doing the show. And I would ring in from my brick phone, or they would ring me when they wanted an update of how I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I think it took me about 3.5 hours that year.
So they got half an hour overtime.
Yeah. And then I did it again in Chester in 2011 with a friend who was trying to get a London place, and then I got a London place in 2012. Another media one did it, I think, through the BBC.
Yeah.
And I think I was a bit excited about it being Olympic year.
Yeah.
And I almost broke 3 hours that year, but and I knew that James Cracknell was doing it, and he always broke 3 hours. And I could see Cracknell, and we're running near the 3 hour pace person.
Yeah.
And so by about 12 miles, I think I overtook Cracknell, and I was like, brilliant, this is great. And then at about 16 miles, I was dying, and Cracknell came back past me, and I'm trying to cling on to him for the next mile. But by about mile 20, he just pulled away, and I think came in a few minutes late. I know.
Yeah. Do you feel like your marathon days are done, or would you do another?
With the year 50, 50th birthday this year coming around, so it's 30 years since I did my first marathon this year.
Wow.
You see on social media people doing 50 things before 50, or 50
Ben
things
Shepherd.
in their 50th year. Yeah. I thought, maybe I'll try and see if I can break some of my PBs in some races.
Yeah.
So I thought, park run's an easy way to try and do my fastest 5k. Then maybe if I could see, if I do that, maybe I could try a 10k and a 10 mile. Maybe if I was fit and was able to break some of those records, then maybe before I'm 51, so maybe spring next year, I could give it another go.
I'm sensing a rekindling of something here, Bob. I feel like this could be the start of something.
Well, I haven't run and entered anything since I did that Bob Graham round and made the podcast about it. So that was 2019, and then obviously a lot happened in 2020 in the world, and I ran a lot just for headspace, and I got totally into running off road. Not interested in entering races and training hard along the tarmac. So, but now I don't know. Maybe thinking about it again.
Any off-road marathons?
There are. They tend to be much slow. Like you would never get a personal best time, but there's lots of long races, like loads of the hilly races in places like the Yorkshire Dales or the Lake District are around marathon distance or a bit longer, but they're just over so many hills that people tend to do them more slowly.
Yeah.
The Yorkshire Three Peaks race, I've got some friends doing later this month, and so that's Pennygent, Ingleborough and Whernside around the Yorkshire Dale, those 3 peaks, and you do it all in one run. That's about 24, 25 miles, I think, but really hard.
What about some of the big city marathons, like the New York or the Berlin? Is that a big one? Or
I looked at Berlin, because it's supposed to be a really fast one, Berlin, fast and flat. And I thought, I've never been to Berlin. That would be a fun trip.
Yeah.
So that, I think I looked, and that's in May. So maybe for next 12 months' time, I could target.
Yeah, that would be before your first birthday. It could be in your 50th year.
Yeah.
All right, I'll come to Berlin with you. Love Berlin.
Yeah, great.
That's great. Okay, so listeners to this, and indeed Kitty, will be about 10 days out now from the marathon. So I guess there's two groups of people here. There's those who are now in the very final stages, the approach to what would have been quite a long training plan, and they'll have structured things and maybe built up over time and are 10 days out. And then there'll be a whole section of people who've put it off and put it off and put it off, are on the edge of pulling out, but think it's sod it, I'm just going to do it, and haven't really done the appropriate prep, and they're just going to try and wing it and get through it. If you're in the first camp, what are the things people should be thinking about in these 10 days before the marathon?
If you're in either camp, you won't be able to train in any way now to make yourself any better.
Right.
The only thing really you can do now is tail off to give yourself more energy, give your muscles a chance to recover if you've been training really hard, to taper down. And if you're keep running a little bit to keep loose, and psychologically to keep feeling that you're fit.
Yeah.
If you just kind of eat loads of pasta and don't feel like you're running, you'll feel a bit lardy and heavy.
Yes.
And you just don't want to, I think psychologically more than anything, go out for short runs and stretch your legs, enjoy it, but there's no point in trying to do anything long or tiring yourself at this stage.
Yeah. What about your shoes or your kit? Should you have been running in the shoes that you're going to run it in, or should you be replacing them at any point, or is it too late for all that stuff?
I think the general wisdom would be don't replace your shoes now. If you've got someone, probably 4 weeks ago, you may have started with a new pair and run them in a few times so that they feel comfortable, and then you sort of save them to be your race pair. I think whatever's comfortable, wouldn't change it too much. And normally you know which bits rub. If your heels rub, put some plasters on before you do the actual race. Sometimes they say like Vaseline or that kind of glide stuff that you can put on your skin if you're wearing a wetsuit. Put that on where the bits of you that's going to chafe a little bit.
Chafing is real, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people really struggle. I mean, that could be your downfall if you haven't quite done the distances, and then suddenly, when you start getting into those longer distances, suddenly things are rubbing and are sore, and you've got no resources to do anything about it.
Yeah, I definitely used to put a plaster over my nipples because the kind of once you get sweaty, a kind of running vest that's rubbing up and down, that can be very sore. Yeah, daub a bit of Vaseline on any kind of rubby bits. Yeah, that should be all right. I think eat well the penultimate night before.
Right.
So have your big pasta meal the night before the race.
So the marathon's on Sunday, isn't it? So on Friday night, you should be eating well.
Eat big, yeah. And then maybe Saturday, go for a nice walk or 1 mile jog, sort of be active and feel like you're stretching your legs, but don't run very much really in the next 10 days.
Yeah.
And I never went to, after the first year or two, I don't think I went to the big marathon show, but there's an expo thing, I think, beforehand where they'll give you free gels and try and sell you stuff. So then you can just enjoy the excitement of it. But the night before the marathon, I think you just don't want to be feeling sick, so don't have anything too big. Yeah. Eat normally that day. And I think the first year I did the marathon, I think I stayed with an old friend from school, Lola, who you know as well. I think the second year I stayed with maybe another friend of a relative, and I think the third year I stayed with your Auntie Mary and Uncle Len.
That's right, in Crouch End.
Yeah, and I think that morning, I think maybe your Auntie Mary had left me out some muesli or I had some
blueberries,
toast or something like that. And you don't want to eat loads, but you don't want to be hungry. So.
Yes, you don't want to diss the host by not responding to what they've left you out, so you've got to consume something. And what about when you get to the race then? Because the start can be chaotic according to where you're starting, whether you're elite or there's lots of different phased start points, aren't they? The adrenaline, the excitement, how do you set off? How do you manage that process in terms of your pacing and getting into the rhythm?
Yeah, it's all a bit nervy. I think the race doesn't start until quite late. It's probably 9:30, 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like where I was in Crouch End, I remember you get up really early, you get free tube travel with your race number on, I think, on the Sunday morning. You certainly did then. But, it's a bit of a funny, you got to pick your way down to sort of Blackheath or
it's a funny old
Greenwich,
start. It's not the most salubrious part of town, is it?
And it's a bit tricky. There's umpteen stations that they say, oh, you can get off here for the red start or here for the blue start. Those are the two big main ones. And then the 2 years when I did the football challenge, I started at the green start, which then was celebrities, the wheelchair racers, and the football challenge people. So there just wasn't many. There wasn't many people there, which was brilliant.
Oh right.
The third year I did it, the big celebrity that I queued for the toilets behind was Jerome Flynn, the actor, and one half of Robson and Jerome.
Robson and Jerome. Wow. I do look up their hit Unchained Melody, Nostalgia.
And then Steve Cram ran it that year as well in 98. And I remember, I can't remember what I said to him, but I'm sure I did. He was a total hero of mine. And he did it in 2 hours 36, just looked like he was jogging, just drifted off.
Yeah.
So that was cool, and that start you didn't have a big crowd of people. The wheelchair races were all at one side of the road, everyone else was just at the other. I don't know, there's a few hundred of us. Whereas if you're at the mass starts, there are thousands and thousands of you, and you just literally have to walk in a crowd until it sort of spaces out a bit. So you almost can't go too fast, but it is easy after a couple of miles to think, oh, I'm loving this is so exciting, and to set off faster than you should. So just have an idea of what your pace is and don't overdo it in the first 10 miles.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll really regret it later.
Yeah.
The wall is a thing. You will definitely...
Yeah, talk about the wall then. People might have heard about the wall. What is it? And when does it get you?
I think physiologically your stored energy in the form of glycogen in all your muscles and your liver runs out after between 90 minutes and 2 hours.
Right.
With your endurance training, because you've done all this marathon training, you've probably pushed it up a bit, so you've probably got a good 2 hours at least of that carbohydrate energy. And then if you have a few gels and some Lucozade or whatever on the way, you keep topping yourself up. But there will come a point where you're having to burn fat for energy, and that's just a slower way of getting energy. And so if you're still going at a really fast pace, that's when you just go, oh, you feel like you hit a wall. So what you're trying to do is, if you don't go too fast and burn all your energy, hopefully you'll overlap, so you'll be burning fat and carbohydrate all the way. You might not hit the wall, but there's just your legs are so worn out after about 20 miles. The course, there's a lovely point. So there's after 6 miles you've got the Cutty Sark. Halfway where you watched me my first ever year at the Tower Bridge. You were stood on a bollard with our friend Rich waving, and that was brilliant. And then you turn off after 13 miles and go all around the Isle of Dogs, Canary Wharf, which is a lovely area now. It's very built up, so you do still get big crowds. But
historically, you didn't get fans round there, did you?
No,
certainly not as many.
And it's very. The last time I went to watch a friend in 2013, and I remember sort of that area being just not particularly pretty to look at as a runner. It's lots of roads and underpasses and big tower blocks. But after about 20 miles, as you're coming through these underpasses, before you've got to the embankment and Westminster in the distance, it's just hard going, and that's when you've got to dig deep, really. That's the real kind of difficult point.
Yeah. And are you a music podcast listener, or are you trying to stay present and take in the sounds around you?
I suppose back when I did it, technology would have been a bit
heavier
now.
So nothing else. Yeah.
I don't think I definitely didn't take any music with me, and I think the interaction with the crowd is really exciting. That is one of my big tips, especially for Kitty, as somebody that is recognisable. I don't know how they're going to dress. Actually, that's an interesting thing for them as a drag queen.
Yeah.
Are they going to be quite made up, and what are they going to be wearing? But if they're recognisable to their fans, they will get a big response. And that, even as someone that nobody knows, if you just, like I said, do that footballer clap and people cheer you, you can just feel that tingle and that rush of excitement and adrenaline, and then it kind of pushes you on for a bit more. So I'm sure they will. You wouldn't want to have headphones on and miss out on that, I don't think.
Yeah. What about, let's get real here, toilets? If you're running, like, it's great if you're doing it in 2 hours 47, you might be able to get round, but most people are looking at 4 hours and more. What do you do about toilets?
There are lots on the route, and it does tell you where they are. London's brilliant for the fact that every mile there's a great big balloon arch over the road, and there's a clock, and there's signs saying drinks here, toilets there. You can't miss any of that.
But doesn't it interrupt your rhythm and your flow to sort of take you out of it for a little period?
Definitely, yeah. Is ideally what everyone wants to do, because you're full of nerves, so it's making you need to go for a wee more than you actually do.
Yeah.
But you're feeling really like you. Hang on. Always a spam caller. So you want to go to the loo before you set off, but then inevitably, about 3 miles in, because you've been guzzling loads of water and Lucozade beforehand.
Yeah.
You end up. There's lots of signs around that first bit through Greenwich and Blackheath saying, "Please don't wee in people's front gardens. wait for the portaloos." And there are portaloos and stuff, so you can. In my experience, you can usually find somewhere to go. At the start, though, one of the reasons for getting there fairly early is that you will have to queue.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many portaloos they put. There's like 40,000 runners. There will always be a long queue for the loo.
Yeah. And then, so when you hit either the wall or those last bits when you're really struggling and you're perhaps on the point of quitting or wanting to walk, what's your advice in that moment?
Walk, but just don't stop. I think that's everything will hurt. And the last time I did it, I think I really struggled. That sort of feeling of trying to beat James Cracknell as I was doing, and then just it really feels like the wheels have come off, and you think, oh my god, I've got 5 more miles.
Yeah,
and everything hurts. But you just got to keep walking, and people do just cheer you and, "Come on, mate, you can do it. Keep going."
Yeah,
you'll get loads of that, and just keep walking, but don't stop.
Yeah,
they do have lots of drinks. So these days, people that are really into their training will be practicing their nutrition protocol for how they're going to hydrate and what they're going to eat when.
Yeah,
but I mean, it was sponsored by Flora when I did it, but they obviously had a big deal with Lucozade.
Yeah,
and so it was every mile you could get water. And I think every 5 kilometres or every 5 miles there was a Lucozade Sport pouch station as well. So I remember just sort of grabbing those and drinking them on the way. And those do, if you get a bit of food or whatever it's called, gel, that does work to give you a bit of a boost.
Yeah. I mean, it was always a bit of a weird irony, that, wasn't it? A margarine company sponsoring the London Marathon.
Yeah. But I'm sure Coca-Cola sponsored it for a while.
Yeah, didn't Virgin, isn't it? It might still be Virgin. I don't know who does it. It's TCS, isn't it? I think it's big technology company, something like the TCS London Marathon or something like that. Tata Communication Systems or something like that. Who knows? They can advertise themselves. And what about at the end then? So you've made it, and the elation must just be extraordinary. What are the recovery tips or getting through those next few hours?
One tip, looking back, so I've got photos of me in 96, 97 and 98 doing it, and in all 3 I'm not looking up and I'm not smiling. So there will be people taking photos. As you go across the line, try and look happy and try and put your hands aloft or do something that's... because if you're looking down like I'm doing in one of mine and clicking stop on my watch, it doesn't make for a great photo. And then I think the wisdom is within that hour, just start consuming stuff. They probably give you protein milkshakes and things like that as part of your goodie bag, but start to try and eat and drink as much as you can. I can't believe now that we met up with friends at the end. We didn't even have mobile phones.
No,
how did
God.
we meet?
Well, just how did we do that generally in life? I mean, it was amazing. First of all, you made a plan and you stuck to the commitment and you didn't bail out. That's what people generally did. But I remember us gathering near the finish line. I remember sort of going from the Tower Bridge area, which was great because you got to see people twice. You could see them coming over the bridge and then they'd be going under it along the cobbles.
Yes.
And then it was a matter. So it's a good spot to watch mates if you're going to do that. Or get down to the early stages, Greenwich, Cutty Sark, all those fun spots. I think there is now also a Pride Mile somewhere in Bermondsey. So if you're going to support Kitty, or there's a Pride Mile where there's I think, drag queens and people commentating and a bit of a boost through that area. But then I remember us always then dashing on the tube to get to St James's Park, which means you could then get out and watch people coming in that run towards Buckingham Palace before you do the turn into the final bit. So you'd be coming alongside St James's Park. I think we saw you there, and then we would hot foot it across Green Park to try and meet somewhere around Green Park. And my recollection is then we went to like a big pub lunch and you ordered loads of pasta or something.
Yeah, I think usually, is it Horse Guards Parade, that sort of gravelly bit?
Yeah.
As you come up the Mall, across the finish line, and then you go into the sort of finish area and you're walking along and they're giving you drinks and giving you a silver blanket. And then you come out and there's lots of letters of the alphabet on lampposts, and you sort of go to where your surname is, because you, as a runner, you probably won't have your phone. You might have given it to someone else, and so then you go to where your surname is, meet your mates. Yeah, and I think in advance, I always thought, oh, it'd be brilliant. Yeah, we'd definitely go for a pub lunch. But I mean, your legs are just absolutely in pieces by that point. So not having to walk many miles and getting out of that busy bit is probably a good idea as well.
Yeah.
I remember one year sort of meeting my parents and having to walk for ages just to find somewhere to eat, and me thinking, oh my God, I just want to go home.
Please, can we not do this? Yeah. Because I remember, your legs are like jelly, you're really like a foal that's just been born from a rear end of a horse. I don't know why that came to my mind. But there's just something about a doddery little calf being born, when they immediately leap up and try and learn to walk within 30 seconds. That's what it's like looking at post-marathon runners.
Yeah, some of it is a real... the last kind of hour. I mean, if you can do it in 3 hours, then great. But if you've been running for 4 or 5 hours, all your joints are going to be really sore. So getting in and out of a pub table or getting on the tube, going down escalators and things like that, that's going to be very uncomfortable.
But should you then run again quite soon after that? For your body to not stiffen up. Like, should you go for a little light run the day after or a couple of days after?
I think walking probably is more sensible than running. I think it will really have taken a load out of you. Even if if you haven't trained, then it's just taken a load out of you because you weren't trained for it. And even if you have trained, all that extra effort, you've probably never trained over the full distance, and you haven't trained going that fast. And so, I would give it at least a couple of weeks of just walking, enjoying the buzz of having done it before you think about going for a run again.
Yeah. And then you will inevitably, if you're supporting or have competed, you'll see lots of very smug, understandably very pleased with themselves people sat on the tube, still maybe with their bib on, or maybe certainly with their medal round their neck, carrying a tub of Flora home, feeling really proud and pleased with themselves. And that must be, that's the point. That's why people go through this ordeal of the training and the doing of it. The sense of satisfaction and pride afterwards must be incredible to have ticked that life box.
Yeah, definitely. Loved looking back at the photos. I haven't kept any of my medals, but I have got photos of each of the first 3 London marathons I did. And it is a real buzz, I think, to have achieved it. And there's a sort of kind of ironic phrase. How do you know if someone's done a 3-hour marathon? They'll tell you about it. There's a kind of smugness amongst running people of you have to have ticked that off somewhere, I think.
Yeah. And I'm sure everybody goes, never again, never again. And then a few weeks later, they're like, oh, maybe I would try and beat that time. And they start looking to the other city ones and all the rest of it.
Yeah, there's funny now that they do you can do graphs of the times. People really target these benchmarks, so just under 3 hours, just under 3.5 hours, just under 4 hours. Hardly anyone finishes in 4:03. Yeah, everyone finishes in 3:59.
Yeah,
it's those arbitrary targets we set ourselves are really big. So for people sort of having a target, if you just miss it, like I did the first year I did it, then you want to come back the next year to try and beat your target, sort of scratching an itch. Or maybe now going to do it somewhere else, think, I've done London, so I'll go and do Paris, I'll go and do Berlin, I'll go and do Chicago.
Yeah. So Bob, let's give 5 top tips to Kitty to help with this preparation ahead of the London Marathon for before, during, and after, what would your top 5 tips be?
Do you know Alzheimer's have been giving us like running? They have like a running coach who's like, come on this Zoom and I'll give you tips. And because all their runners are like first time runners, I go on it and I'm like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that. But I'm just there like, yes,
Yeah,
of course.
I'll do that. Yeah. Well, let's listen to Bob's tips and see if you're in agreement or you have a different perspective on some of these.
Okay, number one, in this last few days, don't train too hard.
Yeah.
You've done all the work, so don't get yourself injured or tired out now. Just a couple of little light runs to kind of keep you feeling confident.
Is that your approach?
Yes, 100%. Do you know what? So next week on my schedule, it was to do a 10-mile run and then like my normal 3 miles and then like a 7-mile on the weekend.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, the way my tour schedule works for next week, I was like, I'm in Newcastle, Manchester, Leeds. I was like, I know I've got a running route in Manchester that I've done already, but I was like, I'm going to split up my 10 miles. So do 5 and 5, because I feel like that's going to be better to do like less distance, but like more frequently. I feel like that's, 100% agree.
Yes. Okay. Brilliant. And just on that, if you're listening to this on the day of release, next Tuesday or today, if you're listening, Kitty's in Newcastle, then Wednesday the 15th in Manchester at the O2 Ritz, Thursday the 16th in my hometown of Leeds.
At the Glee Club.
At the Glee Club, which is great. Then you're going to Scotland, aren't you? Or more the following week, and finishing this leg in Edinburgh at the Monkey Barrel on Wednesday the 22nd. And then is there more to come after that?
And then we have Grantham on the 24th, and then that's it.
All right. Amazing. We'll come to that later on.
You're good.
Top tip number 2.
Number 2, eat really well the penultimate night before, the night before the race. So Friday night, if you're doing London on the Sunday morning, have a big carbohydrate loading meal.
Yeah. Ooh. Did you know
the
that?
Friday before? No, and I can't do that because I've got a show that night. I don't want to be fat in my costume.
So how do you structure your pre-race food?
So what I've been doing this year, I've really got into bagels.
Oh, yeah.
Like last year, I was really into like pasta, and like I would always have like spaghetti bolognese or something.
Yeah.
And this year, I feel like it was making me feel so bloated the morning of the run to do like a really, really like carb dense meal the night before. So I do take that out. I do understand why you do it like the night before. Maybe I'll do it after the show. Who knows?
Yes.
But then like allowing yourself the day before, spreading the carbs out throughout the day is better for me, because otherwise I just wake up for the morning of the run and I'm like, I'm so full.
Yes.
I'm so bloated.
So a light meal on the Saturday, maybe go big on the Friday. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Top tip. Here's 3.
Number 3, go slow at the start. You'll be giddy, you'll be excited, you'll be full of adrenaline, and it's really easy to run 30 seconds a mile faster than you meant to, and that will kill you later on. So it is really important to go slow at the start.
100% agree. I'm one of those runners that like the adrenaline from the crowd and like running alongside other people and everyone's run, going fast. I get so excited that I'm like, woo, let's go. Like, let's just go like a million miles an hour. And then like, I'll have like Jeremy shouting like, slow down. And I'm like, oh, come on, we can go. This is the marathon. This is the time to go. And it's like, no, this is the first couple of miles, just take it easy, go at your own pace. And I think like it's so important to know your pace and know what works for you so that you don't overexert yourself towards the end.
And so that's that's part of all the preparation, the training, is you work out what your optimum kind of mile speed is, consistency. I mean, I don't know any of this shit. I can't run for the bus. Here's top tip 4.
Number 4, enjoy the crowd, clap them, cheer them. If you've got something with your name on it, if you're Kitty and you're dressed how people would recognise you, then maybe that will do the job for you. But that is such a boost. And at London, you've got tens of thousands of people. On some corners, there's just banks of people that, people looking out of windows of cool apartments and things, and it is brilliant to acknowledge them, wave, and you get a lot back. And enjoy the landmarks as well. Just thinking, okay, I'm nearly at the Kitty Scott. Right, what's my next landmark? Great, I'm looking forward to Tower Bridge. Brilliant. I'm going to do the Pride Mile. All these little things that shall help you.
You might struggle with that, will
100%.
you? Will you struggle getting the crowd's attention?
With getting recognised?
No, just sort of relating to crowd, being the introvert that you are.
Oh, I'll just be there like, don't look at me, please. I'm shy. Oh, I'm hiding my name on my top. Like, don't, please don't. I'm there like this. Woo! I'm coming. No, 100% agree. 100%. I think that's what is so amazing about the London Marathon, that like London really comes out for the marathon and they turn out in force. And it's like, you could be feeling it. You could be feeling like, oh my God, like we're 3 miles in, we've got another 23.2 to do. Like, how are we going to do this? But it's like that crowd. I remember last year, it's like, you think like, oh my God, like, and for me as well, like I found like counting down really helps, because the second like you get to like 6 miles, you're like, well, it's only 20. We've done that.
Yeah.
Like, we've done that in training, so this is fine. Like, this is easy. And then it's like, we're at 13. Oh, it's only a half. And I know, like, to a beginner runner, you're like, only a half marathon. Are you well?
Yeah.
But it's like, as part of your training, you start to realize, okay, it's fine. And then it's that last like 3 miles. You're like, this is just a normal Friday run. This is a Friday morning in the park. I'm just living my best, and the crowd are there cheering you on. And like, oh my God, it's incredible.
Love that.
I think as well, do you know what? This is a tip from me. With your friends that are going to come and support you, you need to tell them to all be at different places and know where you've told them to stand. So mile 14, I know I've got you and you. Mile 15, I know you're going to be stood there. Mile 16, so it like, you're looking out for people. You're like, oh my gosh, like, amazing. Oh, my best tip for where to tell people to stand is between mile 50, it's like after, I think it's mile 14, between mile 14 and mile 21, which sounds silly, but the road splits. And one way you're going towards mile 14 and the other way you're coming through mile 21. And there's a little ditch, so they'll see you twice.
Yes. Is that on Tower Bridge, and then people go under Tower Bridge?
Just as you turn away from Tower Bridge.
Yeah. That's where I stood to watch Bob many, many years ago. Great tip.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
And then overall, just don't stop. Even if you have to slow right down, just keep going.
Yeah. And smile for the camera, and perhaps don't wear full drag makeup and heels.
Yeah, I'd say whatever you wear, comfortable shoes. You cannot contemplate doing it in heels.
Well, a little shout out for another drag queen friend of mine, Snow White Trash, a brilliant Brighton drag queen that many people might have seen perform right across the country. Did the Brighton half marathon last year, and for the last 100 meters put on heels to cross the line in heels. So a big shout out to them. I don't know if Kitty's planning on doing the same thing. But that's brilliant. Great top tips, and so much luck to anybody who is doing it. I mean, it's an amazing achievement, and in all those dark moments, the satisfaction that you must get at the end surely is enough to drive people on through the most challenging of times.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And once you do get past once you're onto the embankment and you can see the Houses of Parliament, you think, oh, okay, great. And within a mile, that is just the time to just enjoy it. You can be like high-fiving people, and it is. You will never feel closer to being an Olympian than finishing a London Marathon.
That's amazing. Berlin next year, Bob?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I mean, I'll be the support vehicle, waving and providing the gels, but I'm happy to cheer you on through Checkpoint Charlie or wherever it goes. Brilliant. Thanks so much, Bob. That's absolutely brilliant. The last mile, God, do you remember that?
Yes, 100%. Do you know what? I remember running down Birdcage Walk and seeing the signs. It's like 800 meters to go, 400 meters to go. And like that part of the run, it's like you'll see like 800 meters and you're like, oh my God, it's coming up. And you're like, where's 400 meters? Why can't I see it? It feels so far away. And it feels like the more you run along there, the further away it's getting. It's like one of those moments like you feel like you're in a film and you're like, no, like, oh my God. But then the second you turn the corner past Buckingham Palace and you're just like, oh my God, you've done it. It's like, wow. Like, oh my God, insane.
God, I'd never thought I'd feel like you're kind of inspiring me. Maybe I should do it one day.
Well,
Or maybe
you
not.
should. You absolutely should. And also, I disagree. Do it in makeup because do you know what? They have photographers the whole way round.
Yes.
People will be like, "How's your makeup staying on?" Botox. Get your Botox done before you do the marathon because then your makeup doesn't budge. Even running through. Honestly, I finished the marathon and I literally looked in the mirror. I was like, my makeup's going to be horrible. I'm going to have like mascara down my face. I'm going to have like eyelashes everywhere. Like, oh my God. I literally finished the marathon and I was like, I could go and do a gig. I am absolutely fine. Thank God for Botox.
I love Bob's tip to not ever stop, and you're planning on doing a show halfway around.
I'm like, I told you, let's make it harder for ourselves.
What's on the agenda for the show?
Well, this year I've been set a challenge by Jeremy. So last year I performed Proud by Heather Small, and he was like, right, you can either do, we're going to decide on the day as well. This is adding to the challenge. I'm either going to do Proud by Heather Small, Born This Way by Lady Gaga, or Step Song because Claire from Steps is going to be there on Rainbow Row. So it's one of the three. I'm hoping for the Step Song because I just want a moment with Claire.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in order. Well, listen, have the very best time on the marathon. I think it sounds like you're in great shape and it's going to be a huge success. So all the very, very best with that. Well, that's it for part one of our London Marathon special here on Stage Door Athletic. Huge thanks to Kitty Scott-Claus for sharing the story behind her marathon preparation, and to our resident sports scientists and marathon experts, 5-time London Marathon runner Bob Diggles, for those brilliant insights and his top 5 tips for tackling the race. But the conversation isn't over, because next week Kitty stays right here in the Clubhouse as we move away from the marathon preparation and dive into her career as a performer, from how she first started out to life on the television and theatre, and the incredible work it takes to stay right at the top of the drag race universe. As you heard, Kitty is raising money for Alzheimer's Research UK. So if you'd like to support that brilliant cause, or if you'd like to see Kitty live on tour in the Cheryl and Kitty Show, you can find links to donate and book tickets in the show notes, or head to our linktree/Stage Door Athletic. Good luck with your own marathon preparation if you're taking part, and we hope, if you are, wearing your ears during those final training runs, or even on the race day itself. We'll see you next week for part 2.